Hi, it's Terry, and can you believe a whole month has gone by? And well, it has. So today I'm going to show you the new quilt of the month called Contentment. Let's talk today about contentment. Contentment here finishes at 62 by 74 inches. It's a mix of regular piecing and raw edge fusible applique piecing. Now, I know you're going to think, oh yeah, but I can't do raw edge applique. This is a very beginner-friendly project. Even though it doesn't look like it is, it goes together very quickly. It is big 12-inch blocks. They're set just block to block. There's no sashing in between. The only border is this outside, I think it's about 5.5. 5.5 inch border. And you just fuse your applique shapes on and you get this wonderful, cheerful, happy quilt called Contentment. Now, I think this would be a great quilt for like a graduation gift. All of these empty negative white spaces could be used for journaling. It's a place where your graduates' guests could write notes of encouragement. They could sign their name. You could write a little story on here. You could also applique photos on here to tell the story of your graduate. It's a great quilt to make for somebody going through some struggles because it's so happy and cheerful. Also, all of these applique designs can be used in other areas, and I'll show you some of that later on. But yeah, it just is a lot easier than it looks. So I have this quilt done up in two colorways. This back colorway is more of a monochromatic look. I started with the border, picked the colors that went with it. These are actually Hoffman batiks, and it is in one of their current catalogs. If you check your quilt shops, you might find some of these fabrics. And the original quilt was designed with Island Batik fabrics. That's this quilt laying here. And when I designed Contentment, I was just about a year past my original breast cancer diagnosis. And so this quilt is special to me for the fact that all of these sayings, these little quotes on here, were things that I had learned in the past year. So you need to shine brightly, speak kindly, see beauty, love truly, and create joyfully. Mostly create joyfully because I was so joyful that I could still create and make all of these wonderful things and share my love of quilting and Jesus all at the same time. So that's where the title Contentment came. And I always like to include a quote in my on my patterns, so I'm going to read you the quote that goes along with Contentment. To be content doesn't mean you don't desire more. It means you're thankful for what you have and patient for what's to come. And I thought that was a good thing to think about when you've been through a struggle in life, just to be content with what you have. Be thankful for what you have and where you are. And my Bible verse is, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall lack nothing. So let's look a little bit deeper into color selection, because I always think that's sometimes the hardest part for quilters is how do you choose colors? Well, we're going to start with the one hanging on the wall here. And when I got the SKUs from Hoffman, this very pretty multicolored print is what struck my eye. It's a big floral. It has lots of colors. It has kind of oranges and yellows that move into like a dark maroon and some light pinks in there. So I chose that as my focal print, just as the border. It's not used anywhere else in the quilt, but I used this focal to pick my other colors. So I went with kind of a melony orange to kind of an orangey orange to a yellow. And then this one's kind of a crossover, almost watermelony, that it goes from the yellow orange into the maroon. So then you have a dark maroon, kind of a hot magenta, And then this is really a pretty pink because it has little bits of orange in it too. So, and then when you lay them on your focal print, if they all look like they're happy together, voila, they're going to be happy in your quilt. So they all work together kind of monochromatically, but yet with a little bit of splash of other colors, and that's what will give you a pretty quilt. And then I did the same thing with Island Batik. I chose this kind of wild and crazy multifocal print and picked out 2 pinks, 2 blues, no, kind of 3 blues almost, and then an orange and a yellow. And again, they just look happy living together with the border. So that is going to give you a happy quilt. Okay, so I switched up my camera view a little bit so that I can show you how easy it is really to, with a few tricks, to do some fusible applique. So I use the Worm Company Steam a Seam Light 2. It's what I like. It has a sticky back on the back, and let's get to it. What I first like to do with the I'm going to show the rainbow because that one can be a little bit tricky. So first what I'll do is I'll take my background square and just do a finger press. Finger press it into quarters. And I say finger press because sometimes if you press this with an iron, sometimes that crease don't go away. And you kind of want that to go away. So I have finger pressed my background square. And then you take a pin and you lightly score. And I like to score what are we trying to say? This is the front, this is your fabric, and this is where your glue is. So I take a pin and I just lightly score a line, and I like to score it about in the middle, right at the top of the rainbow, and then the heart, maybe just go across. But go the top of the rainbow, okay? And there's going to be a reason for that. So we're going to start with our biggest one, and I'll like to find where that middle was and kind of line it up with my fold line that's going up and down. Lay it there a little bit, just kind of visually. You can measure if you want, but I don't always measure for this one. I just kind of like to visually make sure that it's kind of even all the way around. And then what I'll do, so we scored on the back, I'll keep holding it there, but I'll just peel 1/2 of the paper, the paper away. And then you can just smooth that around, and it wasn't hard to do. I have before peeled off all of the backing at one time, and then that rainbow thing just flops all over the place, and it is kind of hard to deal with. Doesn't like to cooperate. So again, take your next one, visually kind of lay it, line up your your ends, and if they're a little off, you can trim them a little bit. These are just temporarily placed on here. Now, see, look at, I moved it up because I couldn't do this upside down. So we're just doing one, finding our center that we finger pressed. That's kind of the center of our rainbow. Find your bottom edge, lay that on, and just keep on going. And that is how you get this rainbow on there. Let's just finish her up so that we can see. Sometimes I like to just do one. And aren't rainbows just happy? I was talking, we had our grandkids for 9 days recently, and my granddaughter, I had this studio set up ready to film, and my granddaughter came in here, and oh man, she's in 5th grade. Did she love this quilt in the back? Oh, Grandma, that is such a happy quilt. I like that. So we might have to put her name on it so that she can have it someday. And then you put the heart in the middle, and voila, there you go. Your happy little rainbow, ready to be appliqued and have fun with. Okay, so we're going to put that aside, and now let's talk a little bit about the words, because the words are a little trickier. Not, again, not difficult, just trickier. So you score across. They've all been cut out, scored across. Now, and I picked this word joy on purpose. Number one, because I like the word joy. I think we all need more joy in our life. Let's see. So sometimes you like to do your same thing. Do your little finger press one way, finger press it into quarters. And that's just so that you have a little bit of visual where to go. Okay, so I have that. Now, if I put my words, on that quarter line, it's not going to fit. So this fold line is just kind of a visual. What you want to do is you want to balance your word across that center line. And once you kind of figure out where that is, what I like to do is take a ruler and line a ruler up. I'm going to go just a smidge down. This way you can keep it level. And I learned this trick from scrapbooking. Scrapbookers used to put when you would do stickers for like a word title, they would put their stickers on the edge of a ruler like this so that you could get your letters straight. And I thought, what a cool trick is that? And I've been doing it for lining up applique shapes ever since. So you use the bottom of I'm a little too high. Let's come back down a little bit. But what you're going for, I thought I was high, but I'm not. Because see, we have an up and a down letter. And so you want the same distance from the top of your up letter and the bottom of your down letter, if that makes sense. I'm calling this a down letter because it's that little loopy part of the Y. So let's put our ruler back so that I'm lining up the bottom of the letters with the top of the ruler there. Let's do the O. And this is why I like the Steam-A-Seam 2 Fusible, because it has a sticky on the back. And so you can, your pieces will stay in place until you iron them, which is the number 2 reason why I like Steam-A-Seam 2. And I'll get to that why after I get my Y there. See what I'm doing here is I'm lining up the bottom of the letter, and in the case of the Y, you're going to use the bottom of I don't know what you call this part, before the leg starts going down. You don't want to line it up like this with the bottom of the letter, which you could. It gives you another look. But I want this baseline to all be the same. So you put the base of that little hump thing there, then you pull out your ruler and fix the tail, and there you go. There's your joy, all ready to go. Now you would press this with an iron according to the directions. And that brings me up to my other point, why I like Steam-A-Seam 2, because I do not get gummy needles. And what Steam-A-Seam 2's directions say is if your needle is starting to gum, you haven't ironed it enough, hence the Steam-A-Seam 2. So just give it another shot of heat or pressing with your iron, and then your gumminess should go away, because I never have problems with my needle gumming up, and I have used it on my domestic machine and my long arm machine, because I will doodle stitch around the edges with my long arm, and I'll show you that closer in a minute. So let's do 2 more things in this up close view here. This is another project that you could do with these applique shapes. Like I said, these applique shapes are so versatile, which makes it kind of fun. I put this in just like a hoop, and now I don't remember how big. I think it was about 14 inches. And then use the different decorative stitches on your machine. I added a little bit of hand stitching, and this just makes really cute wall art for a kid's room or a playroom, or even in your studio. You could, just have fun with it. A nice little overview about raw edge fusible applique. Now, there's several ways you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Secure the edges. Usually I'm in a time crunch. That's just apparently how I live my life. So I have been known to long arm quilt the quilt and send it off to be photographed and its thing. And then when it comes back, then I'll load it back up on my long arm and do these squiggly black lines around it. So these little squiggly lines are, and I just do like a doodle stitch around all of the shapes, and that secures them. And technically, if you've just done an all over quilting pattern across the quilt top, that will secure the fusible too. But I kind of like that added little scribbly, crayony book look. So this one is the Island Batik, and I use kind of a neon green. Neon green, it doesn't get enough love because it actually is a nice blendy color with all of these bright colors. It really blends in nice into the white background actually. And I did just kind of a little wishbone look. And Island Batik has the most gorgeous backing. I like to use it for backing fabric. It's called Jelly Bean, and isn't that just the happiest thing you've ever seen? And so I did the same kind of quilting on this one, but it's more of like little petals because there was flowers in here. So it is kind of a light pink thread color and just a freehand all over little petals. And then after I had quilted it, I changed thread colors, put some black thread in, and did the little scribble tack down stitch, securing stitch, and that is what held this one together. A pretty big sunflower print for the back. And I tried something different on this one. I've never done like the faux piping. But you know, I was using the same color border or binding as the border, and I wanted a little bit of separation there. So I used the pink, and I found the formula, and I forget what it is. I think you need your full binding strip to be 1 3/4, and then your regular binding to be 1 1/2, and you sew those together. And when you press them wrong sides together, you get this tiny little pink edge, and then you sew it on and flip it over, and you get that adorable little piped edge. So there's your other little tip. So this was Contentment, the block of, or not block, duh. So that's what I have for Contentment. A super happy, super cheerful, super encouraging quilt that is easy doable by a beginner and is the pattern of the month this month for $6 in the shop. And yeah, I'd love for you to make one and share with the world. I'd also love if you like what you see here to subscribe and share with your friends. And we'll see you next time at Lizard Creek Quilting. Thanks, and have a joy-filled day.